is a reading for the sign of Virgo, and I didn't ask anything specific, just general energy. How I read my cards, if you're new to my channel, is I do sort of the main energy out, clarifiers below. I do have a card at the bottom of the deck, which is the Three of Pentacles, just to give you a summary, and I'll let that in as that is sort of a predominant overhanging energy. I have some others that are pulled off to side here as well, just lack of space, but anyway, we'll get to those here in a second. I'm going to say overall, looking at your energy here, it does appear to be a bit of a challenge in the month of October. I would say that a lot of this is sort of falling out energy, meaning that there's been a lot that's going on. I feel like you're still in a space of healing from it, actually, is what I would say. I'd still say because the energy is so significant in the healing and for the challenges that I see here, it feels like it's on more than one front. In addition, I would say there is some positives here as well, but again, a lot of this is you working through the energy, and so that will be more of a back and forth kind of energy, which is why we're starting out with the Two of Pentacles. So overall, kind of the story arc of everything is you're going from confusion and tension to sort of a breakthrough and rebuilding. Sorry, guys. I would say this is a month of really deeply realigning yourself, and it's going to take some emotional courage to get there as well. So early October, this Two of Pentacles is where I start at. It is followed up by the Five of Swords. So again, and then there's the Ace of Pentacles. So I want to say that you're moving, like I said, into more of a positive space. But the Two of Pentacles is really that of juggling. So it means that finances, I would say, is also part of that. I would say that there could be for some here a legal entity, corporate or otherwise, that there's sort of a battle with as well. But I want to say, but we'll get to that here. So we'll just sort of start off again with the Two of Pentacles energy. So twos are all about partnerships, relationships, or something that might be, where there's some difficulty there. Because as I said, the card follow is the Five of Swords. So it's a combative issue or a combative energy. I would say it's in around the finances here. There could be a decision or a choice that's coming in here around that as well. I would still say, you might be struggling in terms of paying your bills and all of that right now in this month, but I'd still say you're coming out ahead and balancing it out. So despite the fact that there is a little bit of that back and forth energy, I feel like you will still level it out way. I'm going to say again with that Two of Pentacles, it feels like, you have to be a little adaptable to kind of make this happen. But I would say that, despite juggling the resources or the sources of income and feeling overburdened, I feel like you will eventually, strike a balance. So again, it's not going to come without a little bit of a painful, and there might be something very shocking that kind of comes in with that as well. Or sizes you, but you still have the upper hand on so many different levels of balancing this out. So like I said, I would say overall you are trying to readjust things so that it works in your favor, or that you have enough to keep everything moving and your financial situation fluid, moving well. So like I said, there is a lot to sort of adapt to, and you are definitely in a struggle mode, but I would definitely say overall you're conquering it. But again, it's more along the lines of one thing affects the other thing. And hello, hi Bang 10. But it's like one thing affects the other thing. So there's a lot of ups and downs in this month, I would say, for you. So again, some of you, it might be juggling 2 or more jobs or whatever, but either way, I just feel like there's a certain sense of having to reorganize things, or work on many projects or many things at one time. And again, I would say that because we are okay, I'll ask that just at the end, just so it doesn't confuse this read for whoever this resonates for. But with that Two of Pentacles with the Five of Swords, again, that's still the energy of really struggling with things. So I feel like it's almost, you're balancing two opposing realities. So again, it's almost like between what you want and what you should do. So you're creating more tension and arguments, or there's more mental overexertion as well that's coming in here with that. So again, the Five of Swords is really, it's really a sense of not feeling like you want to compromise, is what I would say there. It's like an empty victory. So even if you are winning something, and I do feel like it is moving in your favor, it just feels like it didn't really feel like a win in some way. So maybe there was a tactic that was used against you and harmed you in some way, even though it's still balanced out, but it was almost like a sabotaging kind of energy, or something that you were, expecting didn't quite, move in your favor. But again, somehow it moves in your favor, if that makes any sense. It's almost like it took a little bit of you and able to get it to move in your favor. So like I said, I feel like you're in for a struggle in the month of October, and I feel like you will get a little bit of help here as well. And it does feel like it could very well be in the workplace as well. And I'm going to say that because I see so many cards here that kind of speak to battles and a big surprise of some sort there is a tower moment that's coming here. Could be also dealing with domination of a person here. I do see a mature energy, Queen of Swords, so there could be something in around that, because there is a level of disappointment with the Four of Cups, feeling like you've lost out, and certainly that's because the tower is coming in here, even though it does look like this could be a residual energy as well. But like I said, the star indicates that you're still in a really good position of being optimistic. And hello, Greg in Texas. But either way, like I said, I still feel like things are moving in your direction, but it's almost like you feel like something's being stolen from you or taken from you, or there's a dominating person, or somebody has taken advantage, or has had some gain in short term, even though, you will gain something and it'll balance out over time. But it just feels like whatever that win was, it's come at quite a cost to you. So maybe it's because you struggle so incessantly that it doesn't feel like a win, even if something does lift a restriction. So something along that line. So this could even indicate some kind of arbitration or something coming in here as well. But either way, I feel like, it just feels like you feel attacked in some way. And even though it will balance out, like I said, it just feels like you're battle weary from all of this stress. Now, when I say I see this here, of course, the star is the card of optimism and things working out. So, like I said, the combination of the star and the tower. Well, I'm just doing the general energy first, but don't worry, Bank 10. We'll do your question right at the end. I just don't want to confuse Dory by interrupting it with one other card that might not pull together with the rest of this. So like I said, I see the Tower, the Four of Cups, and then the Queen of Swords. So it could be around something legal as well, because there's a lot of cards that sort of point in that direction. And again, these are the clarifiers to the Star. So I would say with the Ace of Pentacles and the Star, it's like after the conflict comes a blessing. There's a new financial or an opportunity that restores hope. So, it's like life is handing you a fresh seed of possibility. So even though there is certainly something you have been really putting up with, and again with that Tower, and again with the Tower energy here, next to the Four of Cups, there's been a level of disappointment, and then there's the Queen of Swords. So, like I said, I feel like you are still in a shift of some sort. Things are still trying to gain clarity before you actually realize that something is in your favor. But it's almost like there is a sudden shift of some sort that takes place that kind of throws you off. There could be a truth that comes out that you weren't expecting, something that is coming to the forefront anyway. And it feels like it clears the space, shocks you, it's painful, there's a struggle, and then all of a sudden, now you get this chance to heal that. So you're in the Star energy, you're in the healing energy, so this may be a truth that's already come out, but it's like there is something of, with that Queen of Swords energy there as well, there's something there that kind of is taking an old pattern or relationship, and it's focusing more of an independent shift. So it feels like you're starting to, fire up again, and there's more energy in your favor here. But again, it's like the conflicts are reaching some kind of resolution, because again, even though this is further out with the Ten of Swords, It does still speak to that being the end of it, but it's been a battle. It's been really quite a battle for you. And then we've got the Fool, and we've got the card of the Endurance with the Strength. So, like I said, overall, I feel like things are still moving in your favor, but it hasn't come without a price. It's really been quite arduous for you. I would say with the Fool. Sorry, that's cards that are further out. I'm going to maybe continue on with these first, but like I said, the King of Wands is still an indicator here that you could be dealing with, I'll shift it. The King of Wands is an indicator that you could be dealing with sort of a fire sign energy, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. I would still say kings are, quite a mature energy. So this could be somebody that presents as quite energized and, gets lots of attention, whether it's you or somebody else. I would still say, and you can, again, there's also Libra, Gemini, Aquarius as well here with that. Oh, sorry, that was the Queen of Swords. So yeah, but either way, still same sort of thing. But either way, it just feels like there's got to be more here about like a clash between these two energies. So I would say one is more of a creative energy, one is more, logical and rational. Queens to me are usually more sitting on, pulled back, sort of receptive energy, where kings are usually more forthright. They're, and it just feels like, it feels like the energy with the King of Wands has more to do, like it is over, like it's a stronger energy than the Queen of Swords. But like I said, I feel like there's a lot more movement, a lot of anger in this period. And like I said, I mean, the King of Wands is still, leadership sort of energy. So you could be dealing with somebody who is in power that has Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius qualities, or that particular sign. But I just feel like overall that energy of a king is closure and a completion energy. You also have the Ten of Swords that is the closure and the completion energy. The King of Wands here as well. So again, something's finalizing, and it feels like you've achieved a certain measure of wisdom that goes with this as well. But overall, this is kind of that entrepreneurial vision as well. But there's something here about temper flaring. And again, I just still feel like, you're starting to feel a little more inspired again because of something balancing out, but it's almost like it's just taken so much out of you that, there's strong feelings here this month, really strong feelings. So I would say that, you could be moving in more of a new direction here, but it feels like there's some obstacles in the way. To you moving in that path. So I'm going to say Five of Wands. This is more energy around competition or battling yourself, inner struggles, things of that sort. But you are overcoming those challenges because we have so many cards that speak to that. It's just that it's taking a lot out of you to get there. Now, the Justice card also is, with that Ten of Swords, the Five of Wands, it's conflict resolution. So, this is where the justice ensures things are more peaceful, things are moving in a positive direction, that things are fair. So, like I said, it confirms, the Ten of Swords confirms that, an ending is a deep ending, but it's an ending of betrayal, but it is also an ending nonetheless. And so because it is an ending, it's one that liberates you, and that's why you're seeing truth comes out, everything starts to clear here, and I feel like one cycle is closing here after this truth comes out. So that's where you start to get the fairness. So like I said, it just feels like overall, the Fool card says trust the unknown, and again we have some other cards here that I'm going to pull out that are more specific to relationship. But I do feel like there is, with the bottom card being the Three of Pentacles, there's more of a cooperation, more of a coordinated effort, other people coming in. Something levels up in your favor. But again, it's just taken a toll on you this month. There's just been a lot out of. So I feel like, again, this is establishing more with a skill or trade. It's, you building or improving yourself. It's stepping up in some way. You're working towards something here, you're learning, you're studying, it's hard work, it's commitment, it's dedication, it's all of that. So like I said, it just feels like you are, you're on the right track, but it's almost like you have to resolve some past problems here as well. So like I said, I still feel like some money could be coming here as well in this month. Although it might be something that you just hear of, because below that is the card of judgment. So there might be a decision ahead that's still kind of in the works. But the overriding energy is that it's around money very strongly. So, like I said, I feel like you are in the space of a rebirth in some way, because a truth is coming out in this month, and then the conflict, resolves, and then there's this deep ending of, painful struggle, and then it liberates you. So it's a lot happening in this month, but so some of this is likely to carry out into the preceding months, November, December, but at least you're starting to feel like a lighter. Sorry, I was just reading a comment from Nib. You're a human. You might have problems with your life, but you're going to get over the problem. 100%, totally. Nothing stays the same, I mean, I know everybody's going through a lot of struggles right now, and I don't mean that as a laughing. I mean, we're all there, trust me. But I mean, I also know that, the whole point is, to reconnect, to try to reconnect and help each other through, because life is hard enough. So, but for sure, to live is to take the struggle. What did somebody say to me one time? Take the pain and like it. Anyway, whatever resonates for you. But I mean, you don't have to take it quite that way, literally. But I mean, it's a part of life, right? So is my point. Anyway, but the Three of Pentacles, like I said, it's a rebirth that follows here. And it's like you start to feel a little bit lighter in this month, probably toward the end of the month. But there's a certain sense of feeling more free. Been this, and I definitely feel like, you have the things you need to rebuild. And that's really what I'm seeing here. You're rebuilding new allies or collaborations or stable foundations. And I feel like all of that is forming more so of October. But I just feel like this is a month of dismantling, the things that were illusions, the things that weren't working, in a work sphere, in a relationship, or whatever this is. And it's you stepping up in courage. You're very courageous this month, and I think you've been holding that for some time. But because of that, it's, the ending actually brings you liberation. So I feel like you are going to be emerging wiser and clearer, and you're ready to begin again, but on strong ground. So you're on the precipice of some big change. Now we're going to get into the relationship cards. Okay, so for those of you that are interested in the relationship aspect of things, we're going to get right into Page of Swords. Actually, maybe I'll do it this way. Page of Swords is the main energy out, and so I feel like there's been some conflict, and that's why you're seeing the Six of Swords here, and you're transitioning out of that. And I feel like that's, on lots of different fronts for you this month. Like I said, the Page of Swords, the Six of Swords, this is all that energy of being curious. Somebody may be watching you from a distance here as well, but there's more communication, and it feels like it's a little bit of a reserve or a little bit tense at first. Nobody wants to jump in and communicate and say anything, but there's still healing movement. You're moving toward each other in some way. I feel like you're leaving the emotional turbulence behind you here, and it can indicate some kind of reconciliation, or a closure after conflict. Now, the next card out of the Six of Swords is the Two of Cups. So it feels like this, again, is around a relationship. Gemini seems to be very prevalent for me here as well. But it is more of a loving or an emotional partnership, the energy that's present. And again, this could be just on making a decision in a work situation. But either way, you're forming more of a healing energy. So it could be a heart-to-heart, or, again, just a healing energy in this partnership. Doesn't have to be relationship specifically. It could be just a relationship that you have with someone that's very significant in your life. The Chariot is also that energy, and again, it's followed up by the Eight of Wands. So there is success in a situation, but it's also based on a decision. A rapid movement forward. There's more emotional clarity. There's more momentum. This could even be travel somewhere for some of you. But I would say it's like a decisive action that brings both of you back together again. Now, the Hangman is not the Hangman this way, the Hangman in reverse. So in reverse, it means that the stalemate finally breaks. And again, whether this is in a business sphere, or whether this is a personal relationship, or with a friendship of some sort. Hello, Janny. But again, it does feel like there's something here that speaks to a stalemate that finally breaks. So someone who is emotionally stuck now begins to see things differently and then take action. And of course, we have had plenty of cards here that indicate that that's going forward because of the Two of Wands also. This is looking ahead. This is planning. You know, this is that energy of the next chapter beginning and getting or deciding what you truly want. Anyway, going to leave it up for you guys. Till